G'day, mate. Welcome to Friday Facts 292, inching closer stable. Slowly, ever so slowly. But I've got a Mojo here with me. Hey, mate.
Hello. You got me finally.
Yeah, I got you finally. Like I've been waiting all day. As everybody can see, it's now 8:30 at night, and Mojo has finally shown up.
Yes.
He braved the outdoors.
I went outside. Yesterday, and then tomorrow I got to do it again.
Yeah, he braved outdoors yesterday in Australia and survived. So he did it again today, and nothing killed him. So he's gonna try and pull it tomorrow and have 3 days in a row where he went outside and no animals in Australia killed him. That's impressive.
Admittedly, I saw some cockroaches wandering inside, so I think they're all coming inside. Because I've been outside and away. They're sneaking in. Mobilizing the forces.
Yep.
I can't speak.
No, it's too late at night for either of us to speak. Mojo was outside, so all the animals are now rushing inside because it's the same place. Yeah. So we're inching closer to stable. The last 2 weeks we've been less productive than we'd like on the bug fixing front. The Easter festivities, along with a wave of illness, has dampened our efforts. We'll still manage to put out 2 more experimental releases and fixed a few desyncs. We encountered one specific desync in the mass multiplayer stress test last weekend, caused by characters' inventory size changing whilst the player is respawning. Like, what's the chance of finding that?
That is a very specific bug.
It is. So we've got this lovely graph, and it means that because it's getting lower and lower and lower, a lot of the big desync and problems and faults with 17 are being solved. Which is good and bad, because it means now there's a lot more time and effort put in for a lot smaller result. Because the bugs are now the more unique ones, the harder ones to find, like respawning while somebody finishes researching tool belt suddenly caused the game to desync. So there's been 500 crashes reported with slight improvement over the prior week's 650. One thing that makes our progress so hard to evaluate is we don't know how many people are playing the actual experimental version. Most people play through Steam, and so far we have no way of determining how many people are opted into the 17 experimental through Steam. It could mean the game is more stable, or it could be less people playing. I'm actually surprised on that. I really thought with the crash data that got sent back, there'd be some sort of version number, so they'd know that it wasn't.
That's actually surprising to me as well. I would have expected that. Although this doesn't specify crash data or bug reports on Steam. Not Steam, on the forum.
Well, they do say on the forum that they've still got 250 outstanding bug reports on the forum, but it's still really, really, like, you don't know if a crash report's coming from 12, apart from, like, you've got the crash report and you can tick that off and go, yep, we've definitely fixed that. Although it could be a bug that's specific to 12 that now doesn't exist in 13, 14, 15 because some other underlying code change that never means it was intentionally fixed, it was just accidentally fixed. So, yeah.
Arguably, in the case of 12, it would be something easy to spot straight away.
Probably, okay.
Because you'd be able to see it from any screenshots, and there'd be no crash, automatically submitted crash log.
Okay, 15 then. 15, right? So that's the catch. Like, I don't know. And I don't know why they haven't implemented just some sort of, like, version number when they get a crash report. Because there's got to be a lot of, like, I update my Steam version when I have to. So if I crash, there's a good chance I'm setting off a crash report that I assume their system probably knows how to dump most of them, but they're probably getting some erroneous crash reports from updates that they've already done that people haven't updated because they just are lazy like me.
Yours is half lazy and also half because you run like 90 different versions.
I do. I have every single time I update my save for any one of my series, I actually duplicate the whole folder, including all the save files, and then update that version, confirm nothing breaks, because I have had series where stuff breaks going up a version, and then keep playing on that version, which means I have multiple old copies, and eventually they get deleted, but yeah, I update when I have to. I've just finished my Let's Play series, and I think I was on 1726 is as high as I got, and we've got 33 out now.
I think we're up to 34.
I think we're up to 34 too, but I only got as high as 26 or maybe 22. I just didn't update past that because there was no need to. I read the patch notes. I'm like, okay, none of that affects me. I haven't seen any of those crashes, so don't care.
Yep, 1734 came out yesterday.
There we go. So, some people have been asking when we'll release new GUI and GFX updates we promised before 17 releases. The plan is after the first 17 stable version, some of the team will be moved from fixing bugs to working on features. At this point, we'll have some more meaningful content, and then we'll start as a new 17 experimental version. We'll also find out about that in the Friday Facts. My actual question is, what happens to the artillery sounds we saw in 16 in the Friday Facts that were promised in 17 that still aren't in 17?
I'm pretty sure we asked that question a while ago about it, and I'm pretty sure I got an answer that was something along the lines of it's part of a GFX and VFX update, which is a little bit further down the line.
Pretty much. I actually asked our setting one of the times we were streaming, or maybe I asked Twinson or Clonin. I asked one of the devs, and the answer was the files are there, they're just not implemented. It's Dominic, the graphics guy, is also Dominic, the sound guy. It's the same person.
There's another guy, Ben, I think he's responsible for that as well. I think, don't quote me on that.
Yeah, and it hasn't been done because we're working on bug fixes. I'm like, but it's just like 2 lines of code, isn't it? Refer to this audio file rather than that audio file. It can't be that hard. Please do it, because I want cool artillery, and it means it's one less monitor.
It did have the other motion sounds as well, and I think realistically they're working on a kind of framework to implement it more competently than just gluing it on.
I'm happy for a glue problem to start with so I can get rid of one mod. Anyway, we move on to the Factorio Massive Multiplayer Stress Test, which when this video comes out, next multiplayer mass test will be in like 4 hours. If you want to get up, I think it comes out at 2 a.m. our time. But yeah, last week they did another mass multiplayer test. They're up to a maximum of 350 concurrent players, but the server's sort of maxed out at around about 300.
That's a pretty terrible server.
Well, I had a little birdie come and tell me what their server was, and it's like 5-year-old hardware plus.
That would explain it, because like the Roomba one was pushing 450, 500 or more, and there's been other people that have run even more.
Yeah. And it's also running on onboard NIC rather than a dedicated onboard
yep,
NIC.
that'll do it.
So, like, machine specs wise, it's lower than the Franken PC. So, yeah. It's great at stress testing a PC and Factorio probably at the same time, because you got such low specs, rather than if you had a better PC, you could probably throw 800 players at it, but finding 800 players online at the same time could be a little bit difficult. So yeah, they're doing another stress test. If you want to join, details are on Catherine Sky's Discord. They do say the probability of finding a desync is about 100 times higher with this many players, which I tend to agree. Our community maps, when we get to the 40, 50 player mark, if we're going to find a desync, that's when we find it, not at the 5 player mark.
Generally how it goes with desyncs, because the desync is when
the data between the player and the server disagrees,
or the data between each of the players and the server disagrees.
Yep.
And as you add more players, because the server and all of the players execute the same command,
at the same time.
Because the Factorio engine is basically an overly elaborate Lua interpreter that sends commands between each other.
Yep.
And so the more hands you have in there, the more chances there are that they diverge.
And something goes wrong, and we get a desync report.
Yes.
So yeah. Lastly, we've got the community spotlight, and this is by Aramai Gluticus Maximus. And I'm going to just drag over this video.
This is Factorio, a raycasting engine that works in vanilla Factorio. It can be controlled by control click.
He basically made Wolfenstein 3D, or a close approximation of, inside Factorio. And
what is essentially a raycasting engine, which is Wolfenstein does.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know. I said Mojo's got to do all this because he actually understands. Basically, so we've seen the Reddit post in the past where somebody's
Yeah.
made something smart, be it a very, very simple computer or even a more complicated computer inside Factorio. And Aramagluticus Maximus has taken it one step further, where he actually has a whole computer, including a GUI engine, including like graphics. What's the word I'm looking for? The repeatable graphics of the walls.
Textures.
Textures. That's the words I'm looking for. Textures that move and do things and everything else inside Factorio.
From what I can tell, just from skimming through the video, I haven't actually watched it fully yet. It appears that all the combinators, it's like try to think of an example. Like the whole thing's implemented as hard glue logic. It's not so much a computer as it's basically a big trigonometric calculator. So like he's using combinators to calculate trigonometric functions. Like he's doing sines and cosines. It looks like continuously, and then he's trying to find intersections of lines, which is pretty sophisticated maths, which actually makes sense because that's what combinators are actually really good at.
So, if you understand any of that, really well done. I get absolutely none of it, apart from it's really pretty.
Yeah,
and amazing.
There's thing somewhere where it was like, yeah, he had like this huge array of what he called raycasting units. That's it, raycasting units found. No idea what that means or what it does, but it sounds like each horizontal line is processed independently in parallel.
Yes. From actually watching the video, that sounds about right. And a fisheye correction and a world simplification, and and all the textures are hard coded into a group of combinators. And and it even explains how if the video will load. No, the video said it won't load. Oh, there we go. He even explains how he's put the rectangles in a bunch of combinators, which I have no idea how you would take a texture and encode it into a bunch of combinators. Yeah.
Probably some kind of bit mapping.
Probably.
It'd have to be some kind of bit mapping, because that's how Deuces did his Mario side-scroller.
It's
for anyone who hasn't seen that, that's also impressive.
It's way beyond me. But I can hook a wire to a train station and have a go stop signal on the train station, depending on like whether there's stuff in the boxes. That's about it. I could look at this and I know where to fire the nukes. That's where my knowledge stops. Not to mention, if you crossed one single wire, that would be an absolute nightmare to find.
Oh, you're not finding any cross wires if you make that kind of mistake.
Yeah. So, amazing work by Aramagluticus Maximus. I would really, really recommend, if you've got 3 hours to spare, go look at his channel and pretty much watch everything he's done. He's done Flappy Birds inside Factorio. He's done Pac-Man inside Factorio. He's now done Factorio ray tracing, or Facto ray tracing, or whatever you want to call it. Oh, ray casting.
Facto ray?
Yeah, not ray tracing, ray casting.
Yes, there is a difference.
Good choice of words. It's definitely going to hit off every single search engine.
Yep.
Yeah, RSO again. Oh, RSO. Yeah, whatever words. SEO. He can, but yeah, it's a really good video. I've already watched it earlier in the week when it came out, and yeah, I sat there scratching my head the whole time going, I have no idea, but amazing nonetheless. So, that's pretty much it for this Friday Facts. It's not long, it's not big. I don't know. When do you reckon Stable 17 is going to come, Mojo?
As soon as we start seeing a day when we don't see a new unstable, because currently I think we're down to one every 2 days now.
Yeah, we're down to like one every 2 days. There have been people sick in the office, and Easter weekend and everything else. So there are a few delays, I guess. But yeah, it's still a release every 2 days. Even actually, I think earlier in the week there was 2 releases in one day again. So we are getting the release a little bit more spaced out. You reckon when we get to 2 releases in the week, probably?
I reckon maybe not next week, but maybe the week after at the earliest, we might see a stable.
So mid-May.
Might actually see a stable if they really push for it. So we know what they're like. And,
their quality for stable is way higher than what we would consider stable. I would have called 17 stable a long time ago.
yeah.
Yeah, probably around about 25-ish. I would have probably called it stable. It's good enough. So yeah, end of May. I reckon we'll probably have a stable version, and therefore, hopefully, in June that means all the Steam players will come up to 17 because they'll finally have a stable version and get auto upgraded. Which then means hopefully we start seeing the new GUI and GFX. Hopefully in this half of the year. Because that's really what it's coming down to.
Well, that's what it's really coming down to, is that we're seeing more content more than once a year.
Yeah, that's going to be the other thing. So hopefully we get some new content in June, July, and then September, October. Like 3 months between new little spruces of content would be nice. I don't know. We're all sort of dreading some of the big changes, like the blueprint library and the player GUI and the inventory GUI. But then again, some of them will hopefully be really fun to play with, and hopefully at the same time, because it's experimental, hopefully we get to all weigh in and they listen and do changes as they go. Because that's the other big thing I'm worried about, that we get this, here, have this new present, and we're like, yeah, we don't like it. And they're like, bad luck, this is what you get, we're sticking with it. So, yeah.
We'll just blame Reddit.
Blame Reddit, yeah, entirely Reddit's fault. Anyway, I think that's it from both of us,
Yep.
Yes?
Yes.
All right, thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next week. All right, bye.